Namaskar. Welcome to Conversations with Rakesh. Here's today's question. Rakesh sir, what are the tips and techniques you will give to build a personal brand for me? It was a very long question and I summarized it. This topic of personal branding is very important. It has always been. It connects to leadership, it connects to followership, it connects to the word trust, it connects to communication. The subject is used heavily in not just leadership but in advertising, marketing, politics, corporate branding. Brands are one more word we use very openly and we say things like कि उसका brand बहुत अच्छा है, इसका brand अच्छा नहीं है, branded product है. So it connects with common parlance of our lives and it connotates trust. It also connects with success and leadership at some point of time. So what I'll do is I'm going to take this question and break it down into some very important concepts that will help you to build your personal brand. Little caveat, I'm going to take a view from my subject, which is communication, collaboration, competence. And at School of Meaningful Experiences, we have programs dedicated to that. In fact, I must tell you that in the last few months, I've seen a lot of people coming to us on this topic that we want to create a personal brand. And I say with a touch of caveat that, hey, this is not like that scene of Matrix where Trinity wants to fly the helicopter and somebody just plugs in the helicopter program and she suddenly becomes a helicopter pilot and the brand is established. ऐसा नहीं होता है. It takes a lot of time, but since the question has merit and there are some foundational issues you can do to build a great brand, I think I'm going to take that focus. Now, I also must tell you a very remarkable incident that happened in one of my classes. And this was a session I was doing with youngsters, like mix of teenagers, class 11th, 12th and college first year. So around 16 to 19 years का एक group था and very chirpy, मजा आ गया. That was one of the finest sessions I enjoyed with because they have so many questions and I had a great time. And we talked about branding because the topic was social media, influencing. And I asked a question कि आपको क्यों personal branding चाहिए? मतलब you're 16, 18, you're just youngsters. They did not hesitate to give me the truthful answer. One of them said, "Sir, I want to be famous." And my light bulb lit up because my understanding of personal branding is about leadership, long-term impact. Here is a 16-year-old who says, I don't know about those concepts. देखेंगे, maybe I'll become like that. But right now my immediate requirement from personal branding and you is मुझे famous बनना है. And I picked it up and I used that concept with so many other students and I found that deep inside, many of the youngsters today and even managers and people who want to create a personal brand want to actually become famous. To me, that is the problem. And when somebody is in the need to become famous, we should understand why. I mean, why would somebody want to be famous? Nothing wrong in it. I also want to be famous. It gives me great gratification. But there could be some layers below that, that deep inside, many of us are not feeling appreciated. We are experiencing, and pandemic was a very big thing for that we are experiencing a tremendous amount of isolation. We are disconnected from societies and many people and we are completely isolated. So we look at social media to post something, people like us, following increases. We follow people who have millions of followers and they give us that aha moment and we feel needed. So deep inside, many of us want to have great personal brands to feel appreciated, needed, which is a danger because that could be a sign of low self-esteem. So before I give you the 3 tips of how you build your personal brand, my request to all of you is please make sure that you fix your self-esteem and self-confidence before you go into this discussion. Because the world is not stupid. Very soon, if you are not sure about yourself, if you don't like yourself, if you are doubting yourself, your personal brand may not survive because there will be disconnect. and the followers who look at these things as trust will break down कि यार आप बोलते कुछ हो करते कुछ हो, because of all these mismatches. So my sincere request to all of you is, by all means make your personal brand. That's your choice, and make a great personal brand, but make sure that you have the right level of self-esteem, which is positive, a very high self-confidence, and a path for you to make sure that this helps you in that trajectory. If that doesn't happen, it can be devastating. There are a lot of researches where when we are addicted to our brand on social media and people don't like us, we go into depression. So be careful about these things, and it can create serious mental unwellness issues in all of us. Leaving that aside, let's come to the question. How does one create a personal brand? So I'll give you some examples. Some of my colleagues will kill me for saying this because they hate my examples of Harry Potter, but I will say it again because this is such a great example. In Harry Potter, I think it was the second one, Chamber of Secrets, there was a professor called Gilderoy Lockhart. Brilliant characterization. He was a very good looking professor, had written so many books, and the scenes are that, you know, Ginny and Harry Potter and everybody go to buy books, and he's signing autographs of books, and Ginny's mother and everybody are like lining up to just get the book signed because he's such a good looking, handsome professor. There are stories of him killing monsters and he's written books on it, and he's now the new Defense of Dark Arts in Hogwarts. An amazing brand. But in that movie, it is later found that he never knows how to fight. All he does is just smile and give autographs. And when the real monsters come, he collapses, and Harry and Ginny and Ron had to save him. So my request number one and tip number one is, when you create a personal brand, there is something called optics, which is how do you show yourself. I think Gilderoy Lockhart is a great example of high optics and absolutely nothing besides that. So complete gas. Now that is wrong. So tip number one, please balance your optics with results. I think that is very critical. Your social media and personal brand and whatever is written on you in blogs and newspapers and videos could be very good. But when the audiences see you and look at your results, they should match up or maybe be even higher. That's when the brand is enhanced. So tip number one, please balance the optics of your personal brand with the right results of your competence. That is very, very critical. The second one, there is a word that we don't realize, which is the heart of branding, which is trust. And my request to you is that trust is built on another very important word that we don't realize the value because of short-term thinking. But long-term thinking brings this word, and that word is called values. A brand creates a value and a trust on something. So we connect on those values, and we human beings gravitate towards long-term positive values. Truthfulness, authenticity, honesty, simplicity, modesty, and virtues. They're called virtues and values. So please connect some virtue and value that you connect with, and make sure your brand is connected with that. A very good example of that is the CEO of IKEA, the founder of IKEA, Ingvar Kamprad. He died and created a mega empire. But if you Google his images and stories, he was a very modest human being. Lived in a very modest house, created an empire, billions and billions, but would eat in the cafeteria. There are photos of him shopping in a supermarket with a polythene bag and standing in the queue like everybody else. In India, we have very endearing leaders like that, Ratan Tata, Narayan Murthy ji. There are stories of them, Premji ji, because I worked in Wipro, so these stories of Premji, and I saw Premji standing in the queue having chai in the same line that I was standing. And this is values, virtues, authenticity that connect on personal brand. And there are even stories that these leaders didn't have flashy houses and cars. They had very simple things. The audiences are endeared by such qualities. So tip number two, please select the right virtues and values for your personal brand and go for a long term horizon. इन चीज़ों में time लगता है. A simple thing if you're starting, ये question मेरे को आज, I think last week, one student in college asked me that, sir, I am a 20-year-old, क्या personal brand बनाऊंगा मैं? Very good question. And I said only one thing to him कि यार आप time से अपना assignment submit कर दो, time से class आ जाओ, that is personal branding, because it's a virtue of punctuality. I can't tell you the importance of these simple things like timeliness, punctuality, commitments. ये आप कर दो अपने लिए और आपका ब्रांड बनता जाएगा, बट स्टिक टू दैम एंड गो फॉर अ लॉन्ग टर्म होराइजन. सो टिप नंबर 2, प्लीज सिलेक्ट अ गुड वर्च्यू and good values for your long term personal brand. Last, you cannot build a personal brand over a long sustainable period if you do not have a long term purpose of your life. This word purpose is very important. I think I was lucky to find my purpose very early. My purpose was communication skills are a problem. People don't find the confidence to speak, and if they do, they'll do so well. So I'm going to help a million people speak better with confidence before I die. That has become my purpose. It's so clear. And then your personal brand starts to fall in place. So if you look at all the world's best personal brands and leaders, you'll find this pattern that they have a purpose. I'll make the most affordable two-wheeler. I'll make the best platform for corporate work. I will do this. And if you look at this amazing CEO of Zoho, what an amazing story that his company, his life, his personal brand and his work are all connected to a purpose, that I'm going to help people. I'm also going to help my village and the place where I come from, and I'll create jobs. And that is the ultimate thing, that please find your purpose. Please connect it with your personal brand and start communicating that with your followers. Without a purpose, it will be hard for you to continue and sustain this journey, and your audiences will also get confused. So let me summarize the 3 tips I have for building your personal brand. Tip number 1, balance your optics with results. Tip number 2, please choose some select values and virtues that connect with your personal brand and go on a long-term path with those values and virtues. You must walk the talk. And number 3, please have a purpose. Very clear. I will make the most affordable platform for small and medium businesses. I will live in a small town and generate jobs. I will teach 1 million children how to speak with confidence, or 1 million managers how to speak with confidence. I will take water and make it affordable to all people in the world. That's a purpose. And now work backwards to make your brand connect with that purpose. If you follow these 3 simple techniques, which are commonly used by world's best leaders, by all of us who are trying our best to do this, I think your personal brand will come out better. And on that note, stay safe.